It's in need of situations that they can play a blame game on. And matter of fact, hate loves those types of situations. And just pray, as Robert said, that Christian people will fall in love with Jesus through the midst of all of this tumult, difficulty, strife, uh, hate-filled culture in which we live. This situation of entering now into churches and doing what they did up there to disturb and disrupt, and it's you can see we're at a precipice, like Kenneth described. We're out there trying to dive into a pool that has no water in it. Uh, there's some unseemly, difficult days ahead, and only the wisdom of God can give us a pathway through it in such a way that He gets glory. And of course, we get His wisdom through an intimate relationship with Him. Let's look at Proverbs chapter 3 as we continue. See if we can't make it through to the end of chapter 3. We'll start in verse 13 today and mostly let the Word of God speak for itself. How blessed is the man who finds wisdom, and the man who gains understanding. For her profit is better than the profit of silver, and her gain better than fine gold. Just stop and think about how the worldly wealth that we so often pursue, an intimate relationship with Jesus, will give us wisdom, which is of greater value than any of that, right? She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire. Listen to that. Nothing you desire compares with her. Again, this was written by Solomon. Elon Musk would be Elon would be parking his car for him. I mean, the wealth of Solomon would be in the trillions, they say, not the billions, if it were brought over to today's values. And yet this man is saying nothing, though, nothing that I have, any of that, none of that compares to wisdom. Long life is in her right hand, and in her left hand are riches and honor. In a general rule, those that live wisely seem to live longer, In a general rule, God blesses. It is His blessings that bring about the enrichment and the honor. Verse 17 says, wisdom's ways are pleasant ways, and all of her paths are peace. Wisdom is a tree of life to those who take hold of her. And happy are all who hold her fast. That means to embrace closely, of course. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth. By understanding, He established the heavens. By His knowledge, the deeps were broken up and the skies drip with dew. Let's back up to verse 19 there. By wisdom, He founded the earth. By understanding, He established the heavens. In Colossians chapter 1, it tells us that Jesus was the creator. There was not anything made that He did not make. He is the preemptive one. He is priority. He is, it even says that by Him all things consist, hold together. I wanted to think about the creation. Wow, what an exacting universe God has created. I want to share with you just a on that thought about how exacting God's creation is. If the earth was just a smidgen, is there a word, smidgen?
Yep.
If the earth was just a smidgen closer to the sun, it would be annihilated by the heat. If it was just a little bit further from the sun, it would freeze over. If the earth was different on its axis, just a little bit one way or the other, if the earth did not have the gravitational pull that God gave it in his creative order, then that centrifugal force would have long ago have thrown things totally out of order and into chaos and into oblivion. Huh? It is what even scientists call a Goldilocks universe, not too hot, not too cold, but just right, that bowl of porridge thing. Well, our world is a just right universe. It speaks to a designer, doesn't it? It speaks to a God of purpose. I mean, to the nth degree, in the smallest details of a single cell, to a vast universe, we see that our Creator brought order and design. When you see design, you know there was a designer, right? There was a designer. When you see causes, you know that there was a first cause. There was God. If you back it all up, there was God, and God created. And in this verse, it says it was by wisdom that the earth was founded. Think about the wisdom. And by understanding that he established the heavens. Again, Jesus. By his knowledge. Now he's speaking about the deeps were broken up and the skies dripping with dew. You think about the days of Noah and how God brought a flood, but not only that, he brought about a breaking up of the earth's central part where there was waters coming from below as well as waters from above. And yet God was over it all. His knowledge and his wisdom is accessible to us. And when you think about the dew, when the conditions are right, it shows up. I've heard revivalists speak about when awakening comes. It's sort of like dew. When the conditions are just right, the dew dispenses. My son, let them not vanish from your sight. Verse 21. What? What's he talking about? He's talking about sound wisdom and discretion. Don't let them be removed. Don't let them vanish from your sight. So they will be life to your soul and adornment to your neck. Then you will walk in your way securely, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. And when you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Don't be afraid of sudden fear, nor of the onslaught of the wicked when it comes. For the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. Boy, there's something about that sound sleep at night, y'all, isn't there? Something about the ability to lay there in the peace of God and the protection of God, knowing that God is in control. As several of y'all have said already, God is in control. It seems like things are out and kind of engaged in humans' involvement and all, but beyond and deeper is the fact that God is either causing or allowing. He's causing or allowing. He is the active involvement of the initiation, or he is at least passively allowing things to occur, which he could have stopped. God is the one who's protecting and who's guiding and who's blessing. And it's his blessing that gives enrichment to our lives. Don't fear. That's why I could say in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, God has not given a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and of a sound mind, or of a self-discipline. God has given us the ability to reside and rest. As Jesus said, "Come unto me, all ye that are heavy laden and burdened down, and I will give you rest," in Matthew chapter 11. He says, so these things, discretion and wisdom, they will adorn your life. They will allow you to overcome the onslaught of the wicked and the fear of possibilities gone awry, because God is your confidence. Do not withhold good. Now he's going to warn us. Those of us that reject wisdom, now here's a warning. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it's in your power to do it. And don't say to your neighbor, go and come back, and tomorrow I'll give it, when you have it with you in that moment. Of course, in the book of James, he challenges employers for not paying wages, not paying them according to what they promised, and not paying them in a timely fashion. And here's again a warning don't disregard the wisdom of God in your dealings with man. Do the right thing. Do the wise thing. Do not devise harm against your neighbor while he lives securely beside you. Do not contend with a man without cause if he has done you no harm. I know a man that just moved to Henderson, Texas, and he said one of the first things he did was he got to know his neighbors. That's a novel thought. Get to know your neighbors. He said, when I moved there, I decided I would go around and meet my neighbors. And he said, it was great visiting with my neighbors, and we each kind of made a pact, they with me and me with them, that we would kind of watch out for each other and for each other's places, and that if they saw anything unseemly or anybody happening around my place, then they would kind of step out there and pay attention to it, and I would do the same. He was just speaking about how he was seeking to be a neighbor to those around him. We used to have a thing in Tyler called Neighborhood Watch.
Mm-hmm. And it's still got it.
And we would have invite our neighbors over for maybe a meal, or maybe a barbecue out in the yard, and invite all the neighbors.
We did that all.
And then the police would come by and stop for a visit too, and that sort of thing. And I've been thinking about that just on our own, even without it being promoted, but for us to maybe do some things to get to know our neighbors better, so that we can maybe minister to them in their times of need and share the gospel as God leads. In this passage, he says, do not contend with a man without cause. Do not say to your neighbor, go and come back, and I'll take care of what I promised tomorrow. No. And do not envy a man of violence, and do not choose any of his ways. For the devious are an abomination to the Lord, and he is intimate with the upright. This is getting to the thought of how often people think, well, the wicked seem to prosper. The wicked seem to prosper. And sometimes those that are living for the Lord seem to suffer difficulty. And what he's saying here is, listen, it's not about temporary arrangements. This is about the long term. This is about endings, not beginnings. Don't envy them. Don't choose their ways. Don't let circumstances cause you to think that it would be better to have what they have. God is enough. And that's why he talks about, in a number of places, Paul said, I've learned the secret to being content in any and every situation, right? And that secret was intimacy with Jesus. I can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth me. Philippians 4:12b through 13. And then 1 Timothy 6:6, where Paul said, godliness with contentment is great gain, overflowing abundance. And then in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5, the writer there said, be content. Be content in any and every circumstance. Be content there. And the only way we can do that is to find our contentment in a personal relationship with Jesus, right? And the wisdom that he brings and the peace that he offers. It says that the King James says the word devious, that word froward, which means people that are cantankerous and hard to get along with, basically. The devious are an abomination to the Lord. Think of that term. At the end of it all, they will suffer an abomination. They will suffer end results that they will not like for an eternity. It's not like they'll be annihilated. As we know from Luke 16 and that parable of the rich man and Lazarus, that the eternity is forever, and eternal damnation is forever. It never ends. But he's intimate, and he continues to be intimate with those that are upright and walking in his wisdom, in other words. The curse of the Lord is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the dwelling of the righteous. Though he scoffs at the scoffers, yet he gives grace to the afflicted. The wise will inherit honor, but fools display dishonor. When he says that he scoffs at the scoffers, yet he gives grace to the afflicted. This phraseology is used 3 times in the Bible. It's found here in Proverbs 3. It's found in James chapter 4. It's found in 1 Peter chapter 5. And it talks in those passages also about humility. There's a tie-in, y'all, between humility and wisdom. Pride is self-centered. Humility is God-dependent. And God's word says that humble yourself in the sight of the Lord in those passages, because God resists. Think about that. God resists, or he opposes. He stands in opposition to the proud, but he gives grace overflowingly. He gives grace. God's anyhow kind of love. We don't deserve it, but he gives it out of his character and his nature. He gives grace to the humble. So, y'all, let's live lives of humility. Let's don't tout ourselves. Let's tout our God. It is our God who makes the difference. And he can turn circumstances on a dime. And the hatred of our current God can turn. And don't we need it? That's what happens when revival comes to a people. And we've seen that on several occasions in our history. And wouldn't it be unbelievably awesome to see it in our day? That God's Spirit would stir us afresh and would humble us and bring us to a point of intimacy with Him. So we conclude chapter 3. We've been in there several weeks, and it's been a great passage about the wisdom of God and how that we get discernment from God in the, with wisdom. We get His ability to make choices that bring Him glory and bring ultimate good to mankind. Any comments, questions?
I've got one comment I forgot to bring up. He's dead. He's at detached retina, and they've done several plans and designed to give a photograph knew all that's going on, but they actually had to go in and put oil in his eye to help stabilize the retina so it would stay in place and heal. Now, that's way beyond my pay grade, I guess. But his pressure in his eye is getting out of hand. And we went to the doctor yesterday, and they're trying to get into the surgery schedule where they can get him in and go back in. They're going to try to do some more work on his eye. Right now, he's literally laid on his side, taking pain medicine. That's his life for the last 3 weeks. So, afraid of get surgery open, spot open surgery.